All right, how's it going, everybody? This is the Awesemo.com NHL DFS Strategy Show. We have a four-gamer, five-gamer, depending on which site you are playing on tonight. Uh, on FanDuel, it is a five-gamer. I guess that game's going to play like it's normal. I'm playing on DK and Yahoo tonight. I'll make my one Yahoo lineup, and then going to be MMEing on DK, so I'll be playing mostly the four gamer over on DraftKings. Hopefully, you guys had a good Tuesday night. Um, let's see. It was not good for me, but that's all right. A couple nights ago, I had a pretty decent night. So, if I take the average of the last two, it's pretty good. Um, but I think if you played Carolina one, you were probably in good shape. I had some of them, but if you double stacked, you probably didn't do too hot. I mean, Forsberg nearly just broke the slate by himself. 30, 40 points, 37 points, but his line mates did nothing. So that's pretty brutal. Grizzlock, yep, Grizzlick scored a goal for Seth. So Seth probably sitting on a pile of money. Um, I am not. We'll go through last night. We'll take a look at. Um, we'll take a look at what happened last night on lineup study, and then talk about Yahoo. Cheat sheets are up on the site if you guys didn't see these already. Here is the link in the YouTube chat. You can just go to the NHL. Just click on NHL on the homepage, and you can find the cheat sheets in there, matchup sheets, whatever you want to find. We got it right under the NHL tab. Promo code NHL Strategy is how you get 50% off your first week of any Awesemo Plus weekly pass. And then before I forget, if you guys could, please check out our Apple Podcast page. We're making a push to try to get all of our stuff on podcasts, but we need some support. A bunch of you guys have written reviews, so thank you for that. Those help out a ton. 5-star ratings as well in your review. If you just could write something you like about you like about the show, this show, whatever show it is, just something about Awesemo. 11.95 a week ain't so pricey. No, I like it. The line today's slate not great. I don't love it, but maybe I'll like it more once I talk through it a little bit. Yahoo is the sponsor. Promo code Awesemo is how you get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports Rewards points. Yahoo has lower management fees. You're going to see less of the Sharks that you see on DraftKings and FanDuel. And it's a great place to build a bankroll. A lot of people don't really understand how rake affects them, but you're just paying less to play over on Yahoo. DraftKings and FanDuel are going to take a larger cut of your dollars before you even start the games. So, kind of a weird night and a weird time. I don't know. I haven't been checking on the news too much today, but I'm assuming all these games are going to play for tonight. I doubt they would probably have canceled them earlier, or figured out if they're going to play without fans or whatever's going on. Definitely something to be aware of. We're playing DFS, so we got it pretty good. But I don't really know what's going to happen if we're going to have sports in the next couple weeks, or there's just going to be playing in arenas and there's going to be no one in there, or what's going on. So you guys are probably more informed than I am. I'm just going with whatever's on the slate here. All right, here's what we got from last night. In the 295, one lineup, won it all, 25K in profit. We have, here was the lineup: Aho, Svechnikov, Teravainen. I mean, the only problem is just that the flex spot was taken up. Should have put Miller or Toffoli and flex. But either way, really good looking lineup here. 2-man with JT Miller and Toffoli. I guess you can call it a 3-man with Edler. Filppula 1-off, 0 points, but didn't really matter with the rest of the lineup. Got first. And Demko in net for 26.5, gave up 2 early goals, but was able to bounce back, get the win. And that was that. So congrats to MLB Batter Up, I'm assuming is how that one goes. I zeroed out in this tournament. Oh, no, I'm not dissing the 25K lineup. No, don't get me wrong. People just get mad about the flex spot. I mean, in NHL, it's like, I get it in other sports, but in NHL, like, you're not late swapping that often. So, interesting discussion going on in Slack. Are most of you guys 150 max players? I mean, I am. I play the 20 max and the 3 max and all that stuff too, but I'm assuming most of the people that watch are not 150 max players. This was the 150 max last night. Mookie 999G took it down just 28 lineups, was able to get there, and here's what this user had: Matthews, Malkin, McCann, Forsberg, Niederreiter, Aho. So 2 forwards from 2 separate teams in Malkin and McCann, Niederreiter, Aho, but no real correlation here. Grzelcyk 1-off. Grzelcyk scored a goal, and that was the only points he had on DK, which is kind of crazy. 10 points is what you get for the goal. Shesterkin, 20.7 points. Rangers, red hot. Mookie 999G. Is that you, Jeff? Or is this just someone you've studied? I don't know. If that's you, congrats. That's awesome. Looks like a cash build, but cashy lineups were good last night. If you had Forsberg, if you had Aho, Malkin, Matthews, those guys all did well. And the stacks did not perform that well outside of Carolina 1. But even them, like, on a big slate like that, you usually get a stack. Nice job. Nice job, Jeff. That is you. That's awesome. 184 is a monster score from last night. Like, there was not very good scores last night, but yours was awesome. And yeah, I think if you targeted the right one-offs last night, you were going to do pretty well. You were going to beat the 3-3 stackers like me, or the 4-3 stackers. Zibanejad is in until someone stops him. Yeah, that guy, man, he's just putting the team on his back, just dominating. Can you explain cash tourney difference? Well, in cash, you're trying to target, I mean, you do want some upside in your lineup, but you're trying to target guys with good floors, guys like a guy we've been playing recently would be like Irwin. Probably not someone who's going to get you 20 DK points, but might get you 10 or 8 DK points for, 2x, 3x. And you're targeting volume shooters. You're not playing stacks necessarily. You might end up on one, but a lot of people don't go out of their way to stack in cash. If I played a ton of cash, I don't think I would go out of my way to stack. Would just mostly rely on the projections. And then tournaments, you're going for upside. You're going for first place. I mean, you do want, if you're playing a 150 max, even with the top heavy payouts, you do want to get some back. So, I mean, I got completely wrecked yesterday. So we'll go to me really quick. And you can see, like, a lot of my lineups are 3-3 stacks, and I lost $1,100 in this tournament alone. That wasn't even the worst of it. I had some other tournaments, like I mentioned, the 295. I had 3 entries in there, zeroed out. I'm assuming I lost about as much money as anyone in this tournament last night. So if you sort by profit, yeah. Me and Adam representing Awesemo very well. A lot of these players stack a lot. And if you did that, you didn't win money last night. So, floor versus ceiling, basically. Yeah, pretty much. Willie K 272. Yeah, it was a tough night, but you at least cashed 45 lineups. So That's actually pretty good. Like only losing, if you got over 2/3 back, that's really tough to do on a site like last night. I guess I don't know about like your general strategy or what you did last night, but cashing 45 out of 150 was pretty tough to do last night. So I would say I would have surely taken that halfway through the slate. I kind of knew where it was headed. Would have needed something really wild to happen in that last game, but when I'm just kind of comfortable losing those slates, when the one-offs just go nuts and their line mates don't get involved for whatever reason, I think I'm just okay losing those nights. It sucks when it happens and you like almost zero out, but that's just what happens. So you're gonna have one of those. There's probably one of those slates like once a week where just no stacks do well, and that doesn't mean I'm gonna change my strategy. Yeah, you're okay. I love bad teams. Then yeah, we're on the same page right there. Shit, my money done with hockey after that night? I doubt it. Adam's too sharp to be done with the sport that he's performed well in after one bad night. And yeah, it was bad last night, but look who else it was bad for. Draft charts. He's been playing as well as anyone in NHL DFS this season. We know Testosterone's resume. I've had a good season. Dollar Bill has been amazing. Cheese is good. I mean, a bunch of really solid players got crushed last night. So if you made money, awesome. Like, congrats. No, not taking anything away from it. But if you did have one of these bad nights, whatever level it was on, whether you played the mini max and you got maybe $10 back or $5 back, and you maxed it, it's just you're gonna have those every once in a while. For single entry stuff, do you pick your favorite lineup? I do, but I have a ranking system, like the way I like to rank lineups. It's not, I guess, in single entry, like I don't put the same lineup in all the same single entries. 1 second. But I put different ones in different single entries just because it would take a while to do that for a bunch of them. It's probably lazy. I probably should put the same one in all of them, but I can't remember what Alex actually says about that. I think he says you should put the single entries, different ones in different lineups just to diversify more. You can read about that in the diversification primer. B. Kreider right there too. Yep, B. Kreider. So that's all right. That's gonna happen. But when it does work, you can have some really good nights too when you stack. And it's the best when a bunch of different stacks go off. If you are doing 4-3s and 5-2s and all that kind of stuff. So I'm not too worried about it. If we have another one of those tonight, I won't be changing my strategy. If we have another one tomorrow, I won't be changing my strategy. On shorter slates, I think you should consider stacking less or doing different kinds of stacks. But I still think maybe people aren't stacking enough in general in NHL DFS. Let's get into the games here. Actually, really quick, how do you choose your one-offs? So I don't hand build a lot, but if I was hand building, it would be guys that, Forsberg's an easy one to say in hindsight, but a guy that does shoot a lot like Forsberg. Evander Kane might be a guy you want off, not strong line mates, but he's 6,100. He's going to go up against Chicago defense, which isn't very good. Patrick Kane, Timo Meier, those kind of guys that either can generate instant offense like the Duclair, Athanasiou types, or guys that are high volume shooters. Have you ever submitted 150 of the same lineup in a GPP? No. Maybe. Actually, in NBA, I tried NBA like really low stakes the other day, and I forgot to set my lineup. So I guess yeah, but and that was on FanDuel with no late swap. So I have, but not intentionally. No, I don't think that's a very sound strategy. I know it'll win once a season where someone has a train. You'll see him finish like third through 152nd or whatever, but no, I'm trying to diversify. Because you want that, you want to, and this is something that Brick75 talks about in his videos. He has a YouTube channel, and he's obviously incredibly smart. He talks about you should still be trying to get some of your money back on the nights you don't bank, because there's going to be a lot of them in between banks. So let's talk about the Sharks and the Blackhawks. 2.7 implied total for the Sharks, 3.3 for the Hawks. Aaron Dell and Corey Crawford are your goalies. I'm not exactly sure why they're not going with Dell. Anyways, this is what we got. Maybe they play tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure. Hawks, same lines. I'm sorry, not the same lines. DeBrincat up with Taze and Saad. Kubalik on the third line. It seems like everyone's just changing around their lines, and this is also kind of the frustrating part. So we'll see if these stick, but for now, the Taze line looks very good to me. DeBrincat going to rate out as one of our best values on the entire slate, and I think rightfully so, especially getting a bump probably in minutes. He's still top power play. The Sharks are not great. They haven't been that bad defensively, but I guess the Hawks haven't gotten blown up too many times recently either. On the Shark side, Gregor centering Kane and LeBanc. He's 2,500, but wing on DraftKings is a little bit difficult to navigate. On a slate like this, where maybe you stack a little less, it's not that big of a deal. Maybe you leave off Gregor, or you go double center elsewhere if you like McKinnon. McKinnon's not playing. If you go McDavid and Draisaitl or something like that, you can make it work. There's enough places to make that work. Thornton and Meyer, I kind of like as a duo. I was getting too much Thornton. And so it looks like the Hawks are going to be very popular. It is good reason, like especially Kane. He's a guy who could bury you right away before the slate really even gets started. I mean, this is an 8 Eastern game. You could be drawing dead if you decide to fade Kane right away. It feels like he's probably going to get on the score sheet. He's played well with this line. Strome and Nylander filling out the line for him, and they're going to get a solid matchup. Thornton and Meyer together have been an abomination defensively. Without Couture for the Sharks, I can't imagine that top line's going to be any good defensively either. So they're really quality matchups for the Hawks. Like for the Hawks, top 6 especially. If you wanted to mix in Kubalik as a one-off or something like that, 5,200. I don't really love that he's not playing with Taze, playing with Kirby Dach and Hagel, or Hagel, whatever you want to call him. So on chalk teams, unless I really disagree on the shorter slates, unless I just think that chalk is wrong, I'm usually around the field. And that's where I am with Chicago. I think they're one of the best teams to power play stack tonight. Edmonton, just a crazy good power play. So maybe they're number one, but I think Hawks are right up there. Taze, DeBrincat, Kane, you can do that now that you've got a couple guys in the same line of that trio. Doc would be my last priority on the top power play. Keith is playing huge minutes, so anyone with a PP1 tag on the Hawks, I'm pretty much buying into. Right now, DeBrincat's my highest owned Blackhawk. Kane and Taze right there as well. But like I said, I'm kind of pacing the field on where we have the Blackhawks right now, especially with my spread out kind of approach that we detailed a little bit. DeBrincat sucks. Why does DeBrincat suck? Double Kane, Evander, and Patrick. There you go. Vots might be onto something there. No, I like Kane and LeBanc. Like if you're doing some sort of power play stack and you would need a 2-man forward stack somehow, Kane, LeBanc, or Thornton Meyer. The stacking of the full lines for the Sharks, top line again, a little tricky. Second line, you have to full stack with Thornton and Sorensen if that line gets going, it's probably going to be Timo. So Timo one-offs, Timo Burns. There's ways to attack the Sharks here. I don't want to forget about them. My favorite guys are Burns, Thornton, and Burns, big gap, then Meyer, Thornton, I should say. Doc's first year as a pro, probably worn down. Doc just hasn't taken that elite prospect leap. Too timid to put pucks on net. Yeah, so that's kind of my issue with Doc. But with a guy like Kubalik, who does shoot, maybe there's a chance for him right here. Evander Kane, 5 penalty minutes, 4 shots. I don't know. Who's he going to fight? No one on the Hawks is fighting, right? They don't have any fighters. They haven't for years. Other defensemen outside of the two obvious guys, I think Burns is mega obvious. Keith, again, solid. He's not the Keith of old. He's not going to be, maybe not even half a point player. I'm not exactly sure where he's at this season, but 5K playing 25 minutes. I actually do like him quite a bit, especially because I think I agree with the Hawks chalk here. There's other ways to differentiate on the slate. I would be pretty worried about fading the Blackhawks in this spot. Who was I going to talk about here? Slater K. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I've heard like 8 different pronunciations. We're projecting him at basically no ownership. 3,100 playing with Keith. Probably going to play 20-plus minutes. That might be a guy to consider. Good way to differentiate in your lineups. There's a few defensemen like that. He's cheap, 3,100. So I think a pretty solid play. Is Duncan Keith on the first power play unit? As far as I know, yeah. Is it Cuckoo? Okay. I'll know that for future reference. Let's go to the next game. Let's go to Jets and Oilers. 2.9 implied total for the Jets. 3.1 for the Oilers. Hellebuck and Mike Smith are your goalies. Which Mike Smith do we get tonight? Who knows? I certainly do not. However, we do know one good thing is that McDavid is playing in this game. McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, and Zach Kassian are expected to be on the top line. Draisaitl, Yamamoto, Ennis. So basically what they started with two games ago. McDavid missed the last game. So we're probably going to see Draisaitl spend the most time against Scheifele, Connor, and Wheeler. That's not a terrible matchup for either one. Without Nugent Hopkins on that line, I don't know how strong offensively they're going to be. Plus, the correlation kind of stinks with Draisaitl being on the top unit, Yamamoto on the second, and then Ennis not on the power play unit. Oilers didn't skate in line combos today. I would still expect these to be the lines. These were going to be what they were 2 nights ago before McDavid was sick. So I would imagine they go back to this. Do your projections take into account that it's a 2-period game? I'll have to check on that. Oh, for FanDuel. Watch for combos in pregame skate. They said, okay. Either way, this is what I'm assuming they're going with. Exactly. Be careful. But, the best way to attack them here is just play the power play. I know Winnipeg doesn't take a lot of penalties, but when they do, they are one of the worst teams in killing them. Edmonton, by far, the best power play in the NHL. And it's a good way to play McDavid and Draisaitl together with Clefbaum. If you can somehow afford that, you would need a really cheap 2-man or 3-man. But I think there is a ton of merit in doing that tonight. So if you're not looking to stack up Edmonton 1, which I actually do like a lot, going up against the Eakin Ehlers line. I know we talk about Eakin. Especially Cliffy hated on him quite a bit, but for good reason. He had a good game or whatever, but McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, Kassian, I like them over the Eakin line and the Winnipeg depth. Plus, you get 2 guys in the top power play. So Kassian at 3,400 on DK is a pretty good. I think he's a fine play just because we're projecting him at under 5% ownership and skating with those 2 guys at 5-on-5. I know they don't have great numbers, but I think it is a pretty solid even strength matchup. And a lot of people will just leave him off, which I get. I love the power play too, but there's definitely some room for a couple Zach Kassian lineups for me in the context of a full Edmonton 1 stack. Who's the chalk tonight? Go to our ownership projections. We've got them listed right there. I use those every single day, and you guys should too. Promo code NHL Strategy is how you get 50% off your first week of any Awesemo Plus weekly pass. If the Oilers went 0 for their next 25 power plays, they would still be number 1 power play. That is crazy. Chase on, so he's going to project as a good value. If you're just hammering Edmonton power play stacks, you're probably going to get him on like everything. And that is obviously a problem. Now, what you could do if you're making it on Fantasy Cruncher is just go through your Edmonton power play stacks and maybe don't include him in all of them, or do a 4-man, leave him out. He is good salary relief, so I get doing the full 5-man. He scored in multiple games, but just be aware of what you're doing. Like, you probably don't want to end up with 80% of your Edmonton power play stacks with Chase on. He's not a huge part of that power play, even though he has scored in a couple games recently. Jets PK has been much improved since the deadline. I don't know if I'm buying that in this specific spot. I mean, Edmonton's had by far the best power play. So it'll be tested tonight, that's for sure, unless Winnipeg just stays out of the box entirely, which doesn't seem to happen in too many NHL games. Now, Winnipeg, top line, they're really popular, and they just kind of seem to defy the numbers. I don't know. I go up and down with this line. Here, I don't think they're that good of chalk. So I prefer the Hawks chalk over the Jets chalk here, if I could only have one. If I was just making one lineup or a few lineups, I don't think I'd end up on Winnipeg's top line. You could go back to the Eakin Ehlers line. Well, I know I prefer Edmonton 1, but that full stack will not be very highly owned. Certainly much, much less ownership than Winnipeg 1 here. Is it the makeup injury game? FanDuel shouldn't even have it in the slate. Yeah, I don't really know, to be honest, what's going on with that game. I'm glad DK didn't include it. Guys in Slack look like they're talking about it right now. NHL.com has those same lineups as projected, but switched Nugent Hopkins with Ennis. I mean, that would change some things. If it was Ennis, Kassian, and McDavid, I know McDavid's awesome, but Draisaitl, Yamamoto, Nugent Hopkins, we've got a pretty good sample of them being awesome. I hope they do go with McDavid and Nugent Hopkins and then Draisaitl on a separate line, because then I think you get a pretty strong line here going up against, like I mentioned, the Eakin Ehlers line. Not that you can't get it done against Winnipeg 1. You certainly could, but I'm really hoping they stack up the McDavid line. He gets to avoid what I think is the better line for Winnipeg, and gets to go up against Line, who we just know is not very good defensively. Last 2 games, Winnipeg 1 should have went off. I don't know how many breakaways and 2 and 1s they botched. Connor trying to be a playmaker just isn't him. Yeah, I don't watch too many Winnipeg games. I do try to watch some Oilers. Got to watch McDavid and Draisaitl. But Clefbaum, 6,500. He's gonna be up there for me. I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with Cale Makar. How much I actually believe in a McKinnon-less Colorado. We'll see. Maybe he could win the MVP if they lose a few games straight without him. Looks like he's going to be out for up to 2 weeks. Now, other guys here, if you're going to Winnipeg 1, It's Pionk. He's just been on the top power play for a while. He's okay, but I'm not playing a ton of Winnipeg 1, and so probably won't end up with a lot of Pionk. Unless they come way down in ownership projections, like I don't think there's any chance I get to 20% of Winnipeg 1. And that looks like it's just to get to the field. I think that's what it's going to take to get there. Edmonton's not that terrible defensively. So let's see what the top stack tool says about them. I'm assuming it's loving them. Yeah, I mean, the top stack tool likes them for sure. Oof. Let's get to these last two games. I like Nurse at 4,800 just as a more of a one-off guy. He doesn't really correlate well to the guys you want to play on Edmonton, but 4,800, I like him as a differentiation point. And there's another guy in this game. It's Ryan Graves, 4,700. I trashed him forever, but in this next game, I like that a lot tonight. Oilers PK is unreal. Yeah, they're not that bad at 5-on-5. I don't know what's going on. Koskinen been standing on his head. Yeah, he definitely has. Okay, let's talk about the second half of the slate here. Rangers and Avalanche, 2.7 implied total for the Rangers, 3.3 for the Avs. It's supposed to be Alexander Georgiev going for the Rangers, and then it's Pavel Francouz for the Avs. Same lines as the Rangers. They keep rolling, and now they're catching a break here. Not the same lines. Edel's out. Is Howden, Lemieux, and Kakko gonna be much better than, I think it was Edel, Lemieux, and Kakko that was like literally the worst line in hockey. And they had quite a bit of a sample. I think that was that trio. I don't think Howden is going to make them that much better, so you can definitely still attack the Rangers' depth here. I don't know how the matchup is going to go here for Colorado. It's tough to say what they're actually going to do. The top line will still be, I guess, considered the Landeskog, Nemesnikov, Nishushkin line. I don't know if these lines stick, though. I really have no idea. I think there's a pretty good chance the Comfer line stays together. So I think you can full stack Comfer, Jost, and Jonas Donskoy. Would have liked to see Donskoy up on the top power play. But that line's probably going to see more time against the Strome line, which I actually like a lot. So I like the Rangers. I like, of course, Zibanejad at 8,200, just playing absolutely lights out. And you're going to get pretty good ownership on him, like Panarin, compared to some of these other top these other top spots tonight. Top stack tool doesn't really love either of the Rangers' top two lines, but without McKinnon, I doubt it's going to be that big of a downgrade defensively. He's not the best defensive center or anything like that, so I don't think it's just, I got to hammer the Rangers because there's no McKinnon, but I just really like the way the Strome, Panarin, Jesper Fast line plays. And if you wanted to go Strome, Panarin, Buchnevich, or if you can get up to Zibanejad, I like that a lot. Tony D is the top power play quarterback at 5,100. He's still playing decent minutes, and that top power play, I mean, just anyone that's playing with Zibanejad and Panarin, like those two guys, he correlates to them. So certainly going to have some Tony D in my life tonight. What else do we have in this game? We got wing for Landeskog, Nemesnikov, and Nishushkin. That makes them tough to stack. Nemesnikov and Landeskog, two-man. Those guys are both on the top power play. And then fill in your centers elsewhere, I suppose, is what you could do. Cale Makar expected to return tonight. Prior to the injury, he was playing 25 minutes some nights. And for 5,500, yes, there's no McKinnon. But it's still a 3.3 expected total for for Colorado. Rangers on the back-to-back. I know they've been playing awesome. This is a spot where maybe some people think they're just going to, like, the Rangers are going to continue to roll, but they're not playing that great defensively. They've been better, but it's not like they're not a team you can't target against anymore. So when I'm uncertain about the lines sticking together here for the Avs, I really do like, at this point, I like attacking Makar quite a bit. He wasn't in our last ownership projections, so I think we had him at like 0%. He's obviously not going to be 0%. Let's see if they got him back in there. No, he's not in there just yet. I would imagine he's 15 to 20%, somewhere in there. He's not going to be as high as Burns. He could be higher than like a Keith or someone like that. Clefbaum. He'll probably be somewhere in there. I do like him a ton. Assuming he's not like 40% owned, which he just won't be. So Colorado, a little unsure about their lines. I do like Comfer at 3,800. He's kind of the only center on the top power play. And so that's how I'm going to get a lot of my exposure. Maybe he gets a bump in minutes with no McKinnon. Pretty much solidified top power play role now. Not really not really a risk to get taken off of that. So and you're also just looking for centers with a couple wing lines. And so he's a guy that I actually like a lot. I know the ownership is a little bit up there, but him and Makar are kind of my main guys for the Avs tonight. Trouba at 5,300 is a guy, I'm not necessarily back in on Trouba, but on a slate like this, once again, it's Burns, and then it's not really stacked after him. Burns, Clefbaum. I should include Clefbaum in there. You don't get Pietrangelo on DK, so I'm not going to be able to play Pietrangelo. So the options are limited, and I'm going to play some Trouba tonight, plus Adam Fox at 4,100. It's like whatever Rangers defenseman is listed as the third pairing guy, whether it's Tony D or Fox, they always get 20-plus minutes. So pretty balanced approach there. Fox has had a couple nice games in a row. He's attempting a good amount of shots. He's also scoring points. Those are going to go away at some point. But he's 4,100. I don't know. Recency bias hasn't been a huge thing that I've noticed. Like, I haven't seen... I'm trying to think of an example of someone like Grzelcyk. I don't even know. Grzelcyk had a couple decent games in a row earlier in the season with no Krug. But he never really got up to like over 7 or 8% if I remember. So, especially with these defensemen, I usually just play the good ones and just try to figure it out after that with my forwards. EJ at 4,200. That's a guy I like over Sam Girard. EJ's playing a lot of good minutes, and he's being active in the minutes, which is more important to me. So he's seen a bump. Like a couple weeks ago, he's playing 18, 19 minutes a night. He's been at 25, 23, 23, 22, somewhere in there these last 5 or 6 games without Makar. I don't think it's going to go down that much. And then Ryan Graves is playing with Makar at 5-on-5. So he's probably locked in for 20. He is not on the power play, but on the short slates especially. I prefer guys on top power play always, because who doesn't? But as a way to differentiate, like $4,700 for a guy with pretty good peripherals on a team with a high implied total, I think you could do a way worse than Graves at that ownership. Too bad Gardner isn't playing tonight. Don't get me started. All right, let's do this Blues Ducks game, and we'll go to FanDuel pricing for this. 3.7 implied total for the Blues, 2.8 for the Ducks. Allen and Ryan Miller. Could be Binnington. I'm not exactly sure what the Blues are going to do. This is the makeup for the Jay Bouwmeester situation. About a month ago, I want to say. Anyways, Blues shook up their lines. Shen, Schwartz, Steen. That's difficult on FanDuel, all 3 wings. And then Getzlaf, Milano, and Danton Heinen, Henrique, Raquel, Silfverberg. That line's been playing pretty well. Now, I really don't like much of anything. Like if I'm playing on FanDuel, I don't think I'm playing a ton in this game at all. I get that there's a high total for the Blues, but both of these lines for the Ducks have been pretty impressive. And I'm guessing Henrique, Raquel, and Silfverberg see the most time against Schenn, Schwartz, and Steen. That leaves the Getzlaf line to go up against O'Reilly, Perron, and Sammy Blais. O'Reilly and Perron this season haven't been great at generating offense. Like in my head, I thought they were just awesome going back to last season. That has not been the case in terms of expected goals. And so, yeah, this would be a game. I hate targeting against the Blues. The difficulty with the lines, it's much harder. It's pretty hard to make work on FanDuel with no flex spot. The wing issue. You would leave off Steen if you could. But, yeah, with both of these top two lines for the Ducks playing pretty well, and then the Blues being the Blues, like I think my favorite thing in this game is Pietrangelo at 5,900 over on FanDuel. That looks a little bit underpriced for a team with the high implied total. I don't know if I agree with that implied total here for St. Louis. I wonder if it's actually dropped since the last time I updated projections. Matt Irwin is 3,600 on FanDuel. You know what to do there. So some decent defenseman options. Irwin, he's not putting up the points, but that's all right when you're doing the peripherals. He's a better play on DK. Obviously, you can't play him on DK. But because you're looking for the bonus, you're looking for the 5-shot bonus, the 3-shot, or 3 blocks bonus on DK. But still makes for a good play at basically mint salary over on FanDuel. So I wouldn't have much from this game, even though I'm guessing the Ducks grade out as pretty good values. I'm guessing the Blues grade out as pretty good values. Looking at the ownership here, like St. Louis got to be near the top here. Man, they're not even that high. Oh, we don't have them in the ownership. Okay, that's why. We'll get them in the ownership. Let me send over a message to Eddie and Alex. Okay. I think that's all I got. I'm not going to be playing this game, but hopefully that was helpful. You don't want to cross one game off on a 5-game slate, but we don't have this one on DK. So kind of a tough one for me to target. Ottawa, LA. By the way, before we get to the last game, if you guys could drop a like, as always, that helps us out a ton. And also make your way over to the Apple Podcast section, Awesemo.com. You can see all of our podcasts there and give us a 5-star rating, review us, say something nice about Awesemo. It helps us out a ton. Helps us continue to do free content, which it seems like you guys are enjoying. A lot of people here for just a 4-game or 5-gamer on FanDuel, but closing out the season strong with some NHL DFS, which is nice. At least while we have NHL games to play DFS for. So who knows where we'll be in a week. Senators, Kings, 2.6 implied total for the Sens, 3.3 for the Kings. Craig Anderson and Cal Peterson expected to go here. This one is a tough one because I like Ottawa again, but when you look into the matchups a little bit, Ottawa got smoked last night. And would it be surprising? Well, would it ever be surprising if Ottawa has new lines at game time? No, not really. Their beats were not there or didn't tweet out anything last night. The Sens Twitter account tweeted out the lines from like 3 games ago. It was Tierney Brown and Tkachuk. I ended up not swapping. And they went with the lines that you're seeing on the screen. So Tkachuk, White, and Bobby Ryan, Balcers, Tierney, and Connor Brown. So we were good there. They stuck together for the whole game. I have to assume that that's how they're going to start this game. The problem is I love Tkachuk. I always love Tkachuk. White, Tkachuk, and Ryan, I think, is a pretty good line. They generated good chances last night. Maybe they were just, the Ducks eased up after they scored 18 goals in 5 shots early. But they're going to get the Kopitar line tonight, and that's not a great matchup. But it is pretty great ownership that you're seeing for some of these guys. Like Tkachuk is at 12%. That seems way too low for me. White just in double digits. Like the Sens don't have a bad offense, and the Kings do give up shots. I am worried about the 5-on-5 matchup here for Kopitar, Iafallo, Brown, but I'm also kind of worried about it for Kopitar, Iafallo, and Brown because while they're all on the top power play, they're not great at 5-on-5. They're really not. They were with Toffoli instead of Dustin Brown, but with Brown they're solid defensively. They're about average offensively in terms of generating chances, and I don't know. I think I prefer the Ottawa side when you look at the massive ownership we're seeing for Kopitar, Brown, and Iafallo. So it'd be more of an intuition play here, playing more Ottawa than the Kings, but I think I'm going to end up doing it tonight. You can power play stack Ottawa as well. White, Tkachuk, Brown is something I'm really interested in, or White, Tkachuk, and Duclair. I like to have at least one link at 5-on-5, meaning 2 guys from the top power play also play on a 5-on-5 line together. Now, they could mix things up, and you might get screwed that way, but going to try to keep White and Tkachuk together. I would try to avoid something like White, Brown, and Duclair because those guys are all expected to play on 3 different lines, and you're basically just relying on power play correlation. Shabbat at 5,900. He's right now my 3rd highest owned defenseman, so he's in the top tier for me. Just playing monster minutes. Hutton is also playing good minutes for the Kings. Doughty at 5,400. Let me take a peek at his ownership because I ended up with some Doughty one-offs the other night. Doughty is projected for... Oh, that's FanDuel. Where's this Joker at? Yeah. So basically 20% ownership on both sites. Like, what are people seeing in this guy? Besides power play 1, if you're just jamming in correlation, he has 2 double-digit games since the beginning of February. There's just very little upside. It's not a super deep slate. It's 4 games, but I'll give me some Nurse one-offs. I mentioned Graves. I think a guy who could get you one or both of the bonuses if things go right. I like Shabbat over Doughty. Ben Hutton has been doing more from a peripheral standpoint. So I'm good on the Doughty one-offs. That's not me, especially if I don't like LA1. Kempe, Lizotte, and Lewis. Really Lizotte and Kempe, I think, is a pretty good 2-man you could go to going up against the depth Sens, and then especially Velarde and Marty Ferk. So I can picture myself having a ton of 2-mans with Velarde, Ferk, and then some sort of power play stack, whether it's Edmonton or Chicago, any one of these teams. I really, really do like that 2-man. Cliffy sold Ferk pretty well, and then Velarde is 2,500. They play on the second power play together. It's a nice way to maybe get some leverage off of the Chalk City LA top line. Not as high in the Kings as what their ownership indicates. LA 4 at 0 ownership? What? Why? I don't think you necessarily need to dive down into 4th lines, but it worked last night. I don't even know how to pronounce that guy's name, but the French guy from the where's he at? Delorier. I'm assuming the S is silent. I don't know. But anyways, he had a hat trick in the first period, like 10 minutes in. So if you can find the fourth liner who gets a hat trick at 0%, by all means, go and do it. All right. I think that is it. Just a quick go over everything. Staples of my lineup are Burns, Makar, Chicago, I think is good chalk. I think a little bit better chalk than Edmonton. Or I'm sorry, a little bit better chalk than Winnipeg. I like Ottawa. I know they got thrashed early last night. For whatever reason, I keep playing this team, and I will continue to do that tonight. I can't be playing a ton of chalk Kings tonight. It seems like a spot where they score one goal and then the opposing goalie gets a 40 save, one goal, 30 DK point performance. So we know Craig Anderson isn't any good, but if he doesn't do the Hogberg last night, I don't think volume is going to be an issue. So as a correlation play, like he could win 4-3 or 3-2 and easily be the highest scoring goalie on this slate. So Craig Anderson is my favorite goalie tonight. So good timing there by Rick in YouTube chat. Other goalies that I like, Crawford, Francouz, and if you're going to Dell, if you're going to the Sharks, I suppose Dell. I mean, I'm of the mindset you could pretty much play any goalie in tournaments. Craig Anderson chalk? Where are you seeing that? On what site? We don't even have him in double digits on DK. I don't know. I think he probably should be chalk. I'm not a huge believer in like goalie leverage, but with the bonus, it does. I'm like more open to it. So if you're not playing a ton of Ferk, if you're not playing a ton of Ferk Velarde 2-mans, it appears everyone is just all over the Kings. And I get it. They're cheap. Sens just got pounded. Sens kind of not good defensively. All that stuff. But yeah, it's sometimes you got to go against the grain, and I think that's where I'm going against the grain tonight. I could always, and the good thing about this is you'll have a decent amount of information from these first two games. You'll get a couple periods in here. Like half the slate will be over before you could swap. Basically, before you can swap your lineups. So if you think your lineup's too contrarian, like let's say you have Rangers and Sens in the same lineup, you could chalk up the Sens part of that and go over to the Kings if you think you're in a pretty good spot, if you got a few different variations. So you can, I like that it's the last game. I like having more options available in general. I think that's all we got. So good luck to everyone tonight. If you got any questions, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. My handle is above my head. It's just my name. I will see you guys in Slack. Shout out to Yahoo for sponsoring. Promo code Awesemo is how you get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points when you sign up. You're going to want to build a bankroll for MLB season in a couple weeks. Check out the cheat sheets, team matchups. We've got power plays up on the site. We've got everything that you could ask for. Come get in Slack. Promo code NHL Strategy is how you get 50% off your first week of any Awesemo Plus weekly pass. And I will catch you guys tomorrow with Nolan. Good luck.